Enjoy this episode. This show is for every woman.
My girlfriends, there's something to be said of the power of women when they come together. We are a
Yeah.
force, and I think that I know we are recognizing that, and watch out because things are changing. I mean, there's these small pods. I've got my group of women.
Yeah.
Shout out to 66 Days for me, this group that I work with.
Okay. Shout out 66 Days. And Tanya Jones is sending some love too.
She's
Hey, Tanya.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, so the women have been amazing for me through this journey. My qigong, allowing all of it, like Heidi shared with me in the beginning of this when I started, and forgiving, but allowing, and owning my truth as well. I think sometimes as women, we don't speak or we say, I'm sorry so
Mhm.
often. Or we apologize for our thoughts or whatever the heck it is. That's been kind of annihilated.
Yeah. I want to say, hey, the women are with you. The men are here too. My cousin is here, Coach Kyle Hayes. He says, God bless you. God bless all the women
Thank
around the
you.
world who are going through their own personal cancer, breast cancer journey, and more power to you. Thank
Mhm.
you, Kyle. That's my cousin. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, a lot of love in the room.
My greatest obstacle that I've been through would be definitely, losing my babies. I've lost 3 babies in the span of 10 years. They were born, they were stillborn. And that was a really dark time. And I, between my oldest son and my youngest son, that's when the babies were born. But what I learned from it, I learned love. The love that I got from my church, oh my goodness, the love that I got from my sorority sisters, Delta Sigma Theta, and the love that I got from my Jack and Jill of America family, my friends. That I just learned so much love, and I was at such peace. I was on bed rest for 9 months with my youngest son, and I took away from that just all love. I mean, when I think about those experiences now, for a long time it hurt. I cried. But now I just smile because I think about everything that happened that made us the people who we are today. But to show a little boy, my oldest son at the time was 8.5 when Caleb was born. So during this time, that's my youngest, Caleb. Yes. My oldest is Mark. During that time, he's going through all of this, and I'm not really realizing for a young kid what that means. But what he learned watching, one, his parents still stay together, love each other, persevere, and he saw all this love. You can't get a better lesson than that.
And you know what? I believe there's love really can conquer all.
Yes.
And that there really are two motivating factors, either fear or love.
Yes.
So choose love.
Can you talk to us about you as that little girl and sort of this evolution now to this more confident woman?
Yeah, I think that I'm back to who that girl was before the world told me who I was.
There you go.
That little girl, and probably up until I was probably like 13, I always felt like things would go my way. I never thought anything was impossible for me to do. I would be in chorus and dance class and at parties. I was always the first one on the dance floor, the last one to leave. I'm still kind of like that, but then the world just came in, and was just like, that's not accessible to black girls. That's not accessible to dark-skinned black girls. That's not accessible to chunky black girls. And I started to believe all that. And then I started dating partners that reaffirmed all those negative beliefs. And so my world just got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, although the outside world didn't know it.
Yes.
I knew it. I knew I wasn't the same. I knew I didn't believe in myself. I knew I didn't have the confidence.
Yes.
And so what oddly enough, I think what reconnected me back to that was joining the domestic violence movement in 2000 and quickly being rewarded, promoted, sent all around the country doing trainings, being in front of people, speaking, because before I would write my name on, I'd go to poetry readings, I'd write my name on the list, and then I'd leave before it was called because I was so insecure, I was so just in another story of who I was. But working with people, and then I went back to school, and for the first time when I was in college, teachers were like, actually you're intelligent, actually you're a scholar, you actually have something to say. But nobody ever said that to me. Nobody ever said, good job, girl, ever.
Not even your parents.
Well, my father's like old school Jamaican, so, it's like, yeah, good job, and then keep it, it just wasn't, so it just wasn't that. So, so I was like 20 something before somebody said, you can write, you have something to say, your voice is important. And then I started getting paid for it. So then I was like, oh, okay. Well, yes. and so then just the more I did that, the more success you have, I think, the more confidence you have. And then reconnecting with you, moving here, doing all the work we did on Ashes, both of us, being at Yale, being in Arizona, traveling all across the country, doing these things that we didn't go to school for.
Correct.
And having doors open for us that people who have worked their whole lives don't get to do, and we've done in 7 years. So that also has built my confidence, and that poured into me. Then other people started to pour into me. You poured into me, your family poured into me. I started attracting other people. So, yeah.
Well, it's a journey, like you said. I think if we wanted to sum up in terms of just the creative process of it all and the inspiration, that it is a journey.
Yeah.
I don't think it's something, like you said, it's not always just this light bulb moment, but it is from experiences, it's from the divine, it's from outside, it's from inner. It's a lot, but we have to keep creating.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing, just don't stop.
Don't stop.
Yeah, don't stop. And so what gives you more confidence is to keep creating.
I want people to feel inspired. I want people to feel motivated. Like when you hear the song Queen, I wrote that song for my beautiful queens out there. This is what I gotta do, 'cause I'm a queen.
Come on, sing about that.
Do you know what that means? 'Cause you're a queen.
Show me about that.
So allow yourself to dream. I wanted to remind them, because sometimes you forget, you go on throughout your day with life, you forget, who you are and what your purpose is. And I wanted to remind the women out there that, you are beautiful, you rock, you can do anything that you set your mind to, and just know that you are a bad chick and you run that. Oh my God.
Okay.
And you rock.
And you rock.
And you rock.
And you rock. And you rock. And you rock. And I love when it made me feel so good and powerful when you and she's looking at you too and saying you're bold, you're beautiful, you're powerful, all those things that, again, I know I forget. And I think, and I think I'm just going to speak to our women for a minute. Men, we love you, but I'm just going to speak to the fact that sometimes for women, we don't always feel like queens. We have a lot of stuff that we carry with us, everything from our looks to how much we can do to how nurturing we are for people. So
you look at yourself in the mirror and just tell yourself that you're a queen.
I love it. So what are some of your rituals that you do to stay grounded and focused?
I haven't done it in a while, but I did vision boards. I write affirmations on the sticky note and I put them everywhere around the house. I pray, I meditate, I do yoga, and I take a second and just breathe, just breathe and talk to myself and tell myself,
Yeah.
can do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Here's another one I'm throwing to you, viewers, because I think breath. If we can just even take a moment, and we do make vision boards too on this show, and we write affirmations too. Fati is going to play a dream game with us. But I think what she said is so important. Sometimes we just need to connect to breath. Yeah. Where we started from, right?
You know, the thing is that impresses me about you is that you don't stop. You take rejection and you use it to your benefit.
Always.
Right. So what keeps you grounded?
My mother. My mother keeps me grounded. So my mother came here an immigrant, and she always loves to throw this in our face. This is when she calls us lazy. She's like, I was working at 13. I was like, girl, you're in a third world country. We can't get working papers till 16 here. And she'll always say that. And I'm like, she's like, we're just natural hustlers, us immigrants. We're just natural hustlers. We're about hustle and bustle. And she always used to call me lazy when I was younger. So when I found something that I was good at, I made sure to always put the extra effort in. So you can see, it's not that I'm lazy. This is it for me. Like, this is it. Like, this is what I'm going to succeed in, you know? And she has dealt with a lot in her own personal life, you know, as everyone does. But it's things that are so detrimental to the soul that I can't fathom how one could just put on clothes and go to work the next day with a smile on her face. That is something I always admired. We would be going through it. We'll go through it in the house. But we walk out that door, we go to the grocery store, she's smiling, she's talking to people, like nothing ever happened. She never allowed herself to wear her hurt or her pain or her, you know, she never allowed us to let her be seen as discouraged or weak. So, and these are things that I didn't pay attention to as much when I was younger. But I just, growing up and then dealing with, you know, moving to LA on my own, I realized I come from a resilient woman. I'm a resilient woman. So I don't let people tell me what I can and can't do. Because who are you to tell me that? I don't allow, you know, people's ideal thoughts or, you know, feelings on a situation deter me, because this is my path. Like, we're not all walking the same path.
That's right.
So I just really think that just seeing her work so hard and work overtime, and she's not taking time to heal because she's a mom. So I do have a respect for mothers. I have a respect for you as well. I know the same thing goes for you. I just want to be a resilient woman. So that's who I am. I told myself that that's what I am, and that's who I'm going to be. And nobody can stop me. And for kids out there, you know, who are, you know, going through that transition of, should I go to college? Should I be a painter? Whatever you want to do, just be resilient when you do it and make them remember you.
So your father started the business 65 years ago. First of all, congratulations for keeping it going. How do you feel about, and is it pressure to keep that legacy alive?
Well, first off, it's a pleasure and an honor to be able to take over a family business. My father came into business when the struggle was real. Mm-hmm. So to be able to take over his business is really an honor. And it's also an obligation. If your parents have a business or anything like that, you want to continue the legacy, and you want to teach your children to also continue the legacy. Mm-hmm. So I work very closely with my father, and such as I also have my son working very closely with me, so that we can continue the legacy.
When we have a family-owned business, right, because you never know, are the kids going to carry on the legacy? Did you know you wanted to do this at a young age? And did you have another dream?
So, at a young age, I really don't think I realized how significant it was that my father started this business. So that's the key is the knowledge. So you just think your parents are in business and they're doing their thing and you're going to do your thing. But in going to school just to get a basic education, I thought I wanted to be an architect.
Oh.
And not even realizing that, listen, your family owns a real estate company. You know, that's major. I just, like I said, didn't realize that my family has this business that I probably need to be a part of. It had to be a significant change in my life before I realized it. And that was when I was in college. And I'm studying business and I'm very aware of what my parents are doing, but I had a setback. My setback was a set up though. So my setback was I got pregnant with my son, Marco. So I had a child at 20 years old. So I had to make some decisions, and sometimes you have things set up in your life to set you up for your future. And that's what happened with me.
So I want to say that again. Sometimes you can have things in your life that you may think is a setback,
That's right.
but it's a set up for your future. Once you made the turning point in college, you were extremely successful. And I had the privilege of sharing your life story in a performance. So I learned this part about you that you said, you know, you were driving around in your Mercedes and cash was flowing, and you were, of course, the realtor to the stars with these phenomenal clientele at such a young age, and also a baby. How did you stay grounded?
Basically, I felt that I was a very mature young person because, number one, I had a child, but also because of the discipline that my father gave me. So he made me buy my first house at 20 years old.
What?
So when I say he made me buy it, he set me up to purchase a home.
Okay.
And I bought this house closed on it by the time I was 20, and that was a significant also turning point in my life. So I just knew that that was the point where I knew I wanted to be in real estate because I bought the house for I think $60,000 and I sold it for 120, and I had $60,000 in my pocket, and I was very young, so that's when I was knew the significance of being in real estate. And he did that so that he could show me how important it was to be in the business, not only sell houses, but to be in the business so that you could succeed by being in real estate.
So we started the Natobi Jewels, and we did that for maybe 5 or 6 years. And somewhere in there, I lost a sister. And she passed away 6 months before her 50th birthday. And I remember thinking, Natalie, you're running around the world. You're going all over the place. You're just chasing something. Everything you have is within you. Pause. Pause, because she is gone, having not even made it to 50 years old. So focus on what's in front of you and nurture your relationships. And I still had not, Obi and I had recently gotten married, and I thought, I need to focus on being a wife. I need to focus on my being. And I remember thinking, you're human being, you're not human doing, and you spend so much time doing and going. And before 9/11, we would have dates in the airport because he was going on a business trip and I was coming from one or going to one, and we just were like two ships passing in the night. Anyway, then, I thought, I remember that winter being a harsh winter. It was February in 2000, and I want to say 15. And I thought, I have to do something to get everybody else out of the funk, i.e., get me out of the winter funk. And I got a group of women together, and we started the Whole Woman with one event that was designed to rejuvenate, reignite, and just really help us to settle into our souls And what I asked them to do was to bring their person and leave their purses. I didn't want to see your brands. I don't want to know how much money you have or don't have. I want, for once, every woman in the room is the same, and all that she is a woman.
Can we
Giving
just
love.
take that in for a minute? Can we just take that? Can we take that in for a minute, ladies? Like, all that you are, just be with that. Yeah, and I love what you said. It is about the being, not about the doing. So on this show, Natalie, I catch as many golden nuggets as I can and I share them out. And this is a golden nugget moment, dreamers, and we're all dreamers, is that I'm catching this one from Natalie. For your being, you are a being first. It is not about the doing, it is about the being. What was one of your most challenging times in your life? I mean, where you thought, I don't know if I can get through this, and how did you overcome it?
When I was in college, being a gymnast, you're very muscular, right? I mean, I'm sure with your children. And back in the 80s, or in the, I guess, the mid to late 70s, it wasn't very popular. It wasn't considered feminine. So I would always wear sleeves because I was embarrassed to show my
And here
arms.
you are with this beautiful body. Yeah.
But back then, and then when you're dating, that became very problematic, and it bothered me a lot. But fast forward, in 1993, the Tina Turner movie came out with Angela Bassett. And when she came out in 93 and she was displaying her arms, that gave me permission right then and there. Hello, no more sleeves. I'm going to be proud of who I am and accept my body the way it is. So, and then everything comes full circle. In 2007, when I was competing in fitness, I had to do a fitness tribute to Tina Turner, and I still do her today. So that's just a story of overcoming, I guess, just negative thoughts that were just pervasive back in that time era.
And I think for me, what's even more valuable is that you overcame your own thought.
Yes.
Never mind of what's happening on the outside.
Yes.
I mean, there was an outside circumstance that inspired you to, or motivated you and encouraged you to change the thought. That's why I love doing Dreamers Unite, right? Because I hope to be that outside influence on even my own life, just learning from my guests, learning from the process of doing the show is important. But it really is internally that we are the ones who have to control, as I said to someone, the beast between the ears.
Yes, yes.
Because we have this internal warfare with ourselves.
Yes, absolutely.
So when I was 19 years old, young in college, exciting time in my life, I was in a car accident, and a drunk driver hit me from behind and shattered 2 of the vertebrae in my neck. And literally, like, overnight, life changed, or I should say within minutes, life changed. And I ended up being rushed to the hospital and, needing surgeries and having quite a recovery, that came with that process. And I'm sorry, I said 19, but I was actually 25. I don't know why I said 19. I'm stuck in a different, but I was 25 when it happened. And so I ended up needing, surgeries, and I ended up needing how to learn how to walk again. I ended up, being, back with, my parents, and my parents taking care of me again, like a baby, like when I was a child, and having this whole role reversal, with them. And there also are a lot of learnings that come from an experience like that. I mean, I really sat in bed for a long time, but I ended up reading all of the books that I always wanted to read. I ended up spending a lot of time with people that I loved, who, were very kind and cared for me because I couldn't. I was very humbled because I couldn't wash my hair for 6 months and couldn't, from, those perspectives, you kind of put, things that, it's lovely to always look wonderful and be on and be perfect. But at the end of the day, your own self-love and people's love for you, really can't be about that, because that's not, at our core. So, there was definitely a lot of learning that came from it and perspective setting. And I've kept it. I've definitely kept it. And I also have, some remnants from that life experience, aches and pains in my body that are good reminders, that as much as, we think maybe we're Superwoman or Wonder Woman or, any of these, heroes, at the end of the day, we're just a person.
Yeah.
We're just a person. And it also, I think, helped put perspective for me, especially when at a lot of the work that I do. I mean, I was very lucky, I had health insurance, I had family, I had a place to live, and I had the ability to be able to stop working for all of that time and still, be fed and cared for and nurtured to be able to get back into the world. And a lot of people don't have all of that. And so, again, it was very perspective setting and reinforcing about, my life and the good that comes with it, for sure.
What was I thinking? I wasn't thinking, and that's the key, is that when I create, I don't go into my mind. I go deep into a heart space. I go into the soul space. And soul is fearless, it's not
fearless.
Yeah, it's not holding back, and that's really what it's about. That's why it's called Bare Beauty. It's about bearing our beauty. I'm bearing my personal beauty, which is that inner beauty, the divine self, and the human journey that is not always so, neat, rather messy, actually. And so I do share those messy experiences, and I call them my metaphor that I use in the book, which I think is it's such a great metaphor, which is the metaphor of life labors. I use birth as the metaphor. So we are constantly moving through contractions in life, and some of them are more subtle and easy to flow through, and some of them will bring you to your knees.
Yes, they will.
And I have been brought to my knees quite a few times in my journey, and I share those because those contractions are the very catalyst that propels life forward. It is that which precedes the awakenings. So it's what gives birth to new life and to the new evolved expression of myself. And so I use that metaphor also as a way to support people in recognizing how we can move through life's labors in a way that is more gentle and with less resistance. And so there's a lot of tools that we can cultivate along the way when we're not in the middle of the contraction in the labor, so that when we get there, we have our support system, we know how to breathe through it, how to surrender and to open, to allow, instead of being in resistance. We know as mothers that when you're in resistance and during a literal labor, that it hinders the process of birth, of expansion, of evolution, of new life emerging.